up to about 70 years, something like that. Okay. And the big one is the whole show up to now. His job is to come back and to establish God's kingdom on earth and all the other stuff that's supposed to happen with Imam Mahdi. Which Sunnis believe too. The only difference between Sunnis and Shias is we believe Imam Mahdi will come. They believe Raja, he will come back, he will return. Like he's been here already, and he's coming back. And at 3 years old, he disappeared because of, it was a special protection put on him that all the other imams was martyred, and this is a protection on him especially. And so he's been hidden now over 1,200 years, about 1,200 years he's been hidden. So, but he's coming back. The job that Imam Mahdi would do, whether Sunni or Shia, is the same job, basically. We don't have any differences, Sunnis or Shias, about Imam Mahdi, except that point of Raja, that he would return. Okay. Imam Khomeini, when he was, they call it Hausa, when he was in Iraq, his biggest competition was the old ulama. They had his book, well, you can call it Vilayat Faqih, or you can call his book Islamic Government. That was listed on Kutub al-Dalala. I think I mentioned that before. Misguided books, like Wala Dali, you don't go straight, Dalala. Misguided books. It was in there with Karl Marx's Communist Manifesto, whatever it was, all of that, that's where it was. With some of the ulama. The big marja, except for Imam Khomeini, in Najaf, all of them were of the old school. They didn't believe in Vilayat Faqih for many reasons. For real religion, they're not making it up, they just don't believe in it. They believe that Imam Khomeini wrote about him. He says, can you imagine when I was in Najaf? He said the people would go out and cause trouble, the ulama, because the more trouble we have, it will hasten the return of Imam Mahdi. Imam Khomeini said these people is crazy. But they said he was crazy. They also felt that Imam Khomeini was not a closet Sunni. But if you read his old writings, did you ever read the 40 Hadith of Imam Khomeini? So. Does it remind you of Al-Ghazali? Yeah. It's like, not word for word, we wouldn't go that far. But every other word for word, like 85%, right? It's clear. Not only the wording, but the subjects. Right. And the treatment of these illnesses for kibr, all of that stuff, for hasad, all of that, the treatment is the same. So when Imam Khomeini was in his late 30s, like the late 1930s and early, some of it was written 1941, in that era, he studied all so anyway. This Vilayat Faqih is very similar to Caliphate. Technically, if you take the titles off, it would be basically the same thing. The just rulership of the just Faqih, So Imam Khomeini, his big trouble, And Najaf was his concept of Walayati Faqih, that we have to prepare the way for the coming of Imam Mahdi. We don't have to wait for him to come. We're going to prepare the way for him to come. This is a break. What we talked about last week or week before last was a critical issue in Shiism. It is very critical. We recognize it from day one. They're just beginning to talk about it now. The issue is clear. If you have an Islamic State now, what do you do with Mariji or Marjiyat? That is, several grand ayatollahs around the world, and most of them don't believe in Walayati Faqih. It's not that it takes power from them or it changes the whole, but it's something that it affects everybody except it affects their followers. There are some Shias that follow Ahmadiyya, like say in Iraq, but they have Walayati Faqih sympathies. Okay. There are some Shias in Iran that support Walayati Faqih nominally, but they have non-Walayati Faqih sympathies. They actually have, and it's not 5 or 10 of them, it's like these are huge groups. In America, this concept of Walayati Faqih, he's mentioning things like, for instance, people came and told him to handle certain things in a certain way. Stay out of Qaisi. Okay. First, it says, I think my silence from here on would be considered an accessory to counter-revolutionaries who are many shades, from MKO to members of the clergy who disguise themselves with their religious attire. What this does is it gives us the opportunity to discuss this deeper. Because part of what he says is true. We wanted to give out the basic flow of information, but we now justify it. And we can discuss it almost at any level.
Right.
So to us, it's a godsend. It doesn't make no difference why he makes us no difference at all why they came out with this article. Whether to head us off at the pass, whether to steal the thunder away, that's not possible. Number one, what it shows us that where we've been heading on the world stage is exactly the critical points in the whole Ummah. Part of the article talks about Turkey and Egypt, and okay, we said all of that exactly when we talked about the Uthmaniyya, right? Excuse me. When we talked about Uthmaniyya, the Safavid dynasty, and
The Mogul.
the Mughal, yeah. Okay, we've talked about all of this over and over again. Remember a long time ago we said we're going to stick with 4 or 5 subjects And we haven't strayed too far from that. We've stuck with, for the last year, on certain basic subjects. Now, what they can't do is, they can't do anything to us that, except help what's going on. That's all. So we thank them. Whatever their goal was, they can't hurt what we're doing because, number one, we've explained it already in detail. But now we get a chance to go into deeper detail. Okay, so Imam Khomeini was there, and Najaf, and only the young ulama, Rafsanjani and those guys, the Rahbar, remember they were young in those days. Let's call it the Hujjatul Islam group. That's like the master's degree, not PhD. You know. They're great scholars at that level, but the Hujja is proof of Islam. And that used to be a title from a long time ago. It was actually a Sunni title. That guy is the Hujjatullah. He's a proof of Allah, you know. And, okay, of course, Ayatollah, the sign of Allah, you know. What has to happen right now, or what would be good to happen, is a whole transition right in the middle from that old stuff to, can you turn the heat up this a bit? It's a little cool. Well, okay, well, I can feel it. Anyway, but not a traumatic transition. This has to be handled carefully. I think one of the things that he's trying to do, he's telling the truth on most of the stuff because he's saying the same thing we did, but he's telling it in a different way. He's telling it in a different way. Number one is pessimistic and not optimistic. Okay, number two, that this cultural revolution, y'all may not remember the Cultural Revolution, Chairman Mao's Cultural Revolution, 66 and all that in China. You have to handle it very carefully. Why? Because the people that you're trying to transform or bring your way are dead set against you. They're inside of you. The Rahbar talked about it not long ago, Jayan Nafuzi. Jayan Nafuzi. Jayan Nafuzi is saboteurs and infiltrators. The Rahbar said just regular Jayan, these guys that are just regular little government agents, they're okay. There's nothing wrong with them. They're not going to cause any trouble. But Jayan Nafuzi that have a goal, that have a plan. You remember, these guys think that it will be good to destroy the Islamic revolution because it's bid'ah. And it will interrupt the coming of Imam Mahdi. They believe, look, just because, look, if you want to see a modern miracle, look at Iran. That's a modern miracle. You want to see another miracle? Number two, look at us right here. I mean, we're inside of America, dealing with the same thing that they're dealing with outside, except we're right here. Boss man can come touch me or anybody else he want to anytime he want. He don't have to make no calls. He just has to go drive by. Hey, what's going on over there? Oh, boss man, we just mind our own business. He can do that anytime he want. For us to survive, we've already survived when they make these things what he's doing is kind of like the Malcolm X thing and a few other things. Like, keep people diverted. Keep people diverted. But here in America and around the world, I haven't had but one guy just come right out and say, it's a scholar, he lives right up on Call, somewhere over there, Queens, right around the corner. He bought a house around there. He's an Afghan Shia scholar. He's been here a couple of times. He wanted to know if we wanted to have somebody come and tell us. No, we don't want that. Just like when the Arabs say, do you need someone to come? I said, no, we don't want nobody. We already see where y'all coming from. We don't need it, whatever we don't know, we don't want it from you. Because we already see what you're doing.
Right.
Okay. The other point is when they talk about Egypt and when they talk about Libya and when they talk about the enemies of Islam, that they are coming back to a slow, we've been talking about that for 100 years. We said it very clear that the Ikhwan in Egypt and other places, they evolving, but they're evolving behind the curve. All the guys, like when you talk about Libya and when you talk about, they're evolving. They are really evolving. But they slow. That's why he does say, if they ever catch, you know what I mean, a certain issue. We've talked about Syria. I brought the book on Syria that's 40 years old. The latest, you know, and the credits in the back of that little book on Syria was 1982. So the book came out in 82. That's when Iran and Syrian relations. The ayats that we refer to as the ones that exonerate Iran on helping and supporting Syria. Iran they haven't even read that yet. Okay, but remember, there's people like Dr. Kaleem Siddiqui and a few of us, we had to point certain things out to him. That's where he's trying to come from now. A day late, dollar short. Or a little more than a dollar, way short. But that's fine. So let me get back. I'm going to try to do it systematically. Religious clergy who disguise themselves in religious attire. Okay, that's a big deal. MKO, Munafiqeen caught, it's okay because they're out. They don't have any support in Iran at all. All they can do is cause harm, blow up a few people, give a few secrets to the Israelis, do stuff like that. They can also invite the Americans into Iran. Look, they have been the cause of a lot of our blessings because they say, boss man, this is the right time. And every time boss man go run in there and start making a move, it bring out some of the people that are hidden. And they step way out and then they're not successful. They have not been successful. Just like nobody has been successful on us. Of course they cause the roof leak, all that stuff. That's not anything, consequential. It's normal. But these guys that are inside, the Shia community that are right next to you, they can cause trouble. And remember, they're big. They're Marija. I'm not going to mention the names because, anyway, they're big. we know the names. They're big. They got huge followings around the world. They got huge followings here. They got huge followings all over the sheer world. Okay. This thing is going to be dealt with skill. I reject this. We got to have a cultural revolution next week. I just reject that straight out. Yes, we got to get to it. Inshallah, we got to get to that. Yes, we have to have a transformation. We can't even we have to call it cooperation, not a transformation. And I say cooperation and not transformation because this stuff is too deep. You know what I mean? This is a belief thing. They have to be made to see that we're all in this together.
Right. Like you said,
Right.
that focus on the boss man.
Focus on boss man.
Right.
Whether you're Sunni or Shia,
Right.
look, we gotta get, in order for us to get anywhere, we gotta get rid of him.
Right.
Okay, let's set the other big stuff aside
Right.
temporarily, but let's be next to each other. Why? They're already next to each other. I don't know the exact numbers, but I would say that 20, 30, 40. You don't know the percentage of Shias that don't believe in Vilayat Faqih is huge. Our problem here with them and Sunni folks, you saw it as soon as we went over to the program the other day. Hey, is there any Sunnis here? Remember that? I said, absolutely not. Not a one. I haven't seen a one. That means in America, they have taken over for decades. They've taken over for decades. That's the reason we're not around anywhere. Now, Abu Dhar, we're going to put a little test on him and see, okay, if you're telling the truth. In fact, you could do it. You can get his number and you get all of that stuff, and you just say, hey, you know what you say and Imam Musa say is 96%